Welcome back to Tack and Track. Today we're working on the Miata. We got a couple things we're going to do. We're going to install some chassis rails that run underneath on your chassis and stiffen it all up. We're also going to be installing a roll bar so we can take this thing racing, which means removing these style bars, which are exactly just there for style. All they do in a crash is hold your head down. So we're going to take those out and put in a proper roll bar. This is the Hard Dog Ace. It's supposed to work with your factory soft top, even if you have the glass in the soft top. It's supposed to give you nice fitment, not hit your head, and we'll end up putting some padding on there just in case. But we're also going to be installing our rear tow hook today. We didn't have the proper drill bit to do so last time, so we got a big day ahead of us. Let's go ahead and get started. That's how secure that is.
Alright, so we're going ahead and getting the style bar out of the way. We've got Allen headed screws here that Gil's pulling right now. Those two will go ahead and get it out. And also right here we've got these to get out as well. And these aren't Allened, these are stripped. So we're going to go ahead and get those out of there, get the style bar out of the way, and start taking the next steps. So we've got the style bar out here. The next thing that we're going to do here is remove both the seats. The two bolts back here on the bottom of the seats on both sides are 14s. They are pretty snug, so be prepared for that. And then we're going to go ahead and get the seats out of here. And just a reminder, cassettes are real. Got the seats out here, and they're just those 4 bolts, 2 front, 2 rear, both sides. Real nice and easy there. And Gil's going ahead and pulling the trim out back here. We're not going to go through exactly how to remove all this because we've done this in another video, but go ahead and pull out all this trim and everything back here because we're going to need to get the deck lid. The next thing that we're going to need to do is remove all of the carpet back here in the back so we can get to the metal. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that, and we'll catch you guys as soon as we're done with that. There's going to be a bunch of these style pins as we start taking this interior apart. They actually make a trim tool for it, and you should be prepared to break a lot of these. But we're going to go ahead and slide this under. The center is going to pop out, and the whole thing's going to pop out. But these are plastic. Now our particular Miata is incredibly clean, so these come out a little bit easier on this car than most. I would go ahead and prepare to buy a bunch of these guys. Also, public service announcement. This is the cleanest Miata on the market. But remember, these cars are old. Underneath the seats are going to be nasty. So carpet shampoo or something like that, good thing to have at this stage of the process, because you don't pull your seats out all that often, and it's going to be nice to be able to get that clean while we're here. So we've got all the little pins out, and there is actually this type right here with the little barbs on it in here, as well as these single push style ones and the one that we talked about earlier. The next step here is going to be to remove the bottom seat belt bolt. It's just a 17 and that comes right off. Then we're going to go up to the top right here, remove this, and start removing this bolt right here for our top trim piece. Now, this little guy up top, and then Gil's pulling his off right now, doesn't have an obvious way to pull it off. They're basically just a lift and pull. Just do be careful, it is old plastic.
Yeah, I just went this one. But it looks like
you broke that one?
Yeah, it looks like on the back side is where this little tab is. So if you pull up, which is what I did, but if you pull up from the back side, it should come out.
Alright, so let's try this one. See if we break it. We didn't! Look at that, I'm better than Gil. Oops, don't tell him about that. So Gil's removing the screws over there on that side for this top trim piece. And he's going to get, there's actually 2 of them over there. He's going to kind of swing it out of the way. And so what that looks like when it's done is what we've got over here. So we've got that out of the way. We've got our top seat bolt out, this out. Once you swing that piece that he's moving out of the way, just kind of out of the way here, this will pull up. Then the next step for us, because we are going to take the carpet out of this for the side rails, is to remove this guy. And what you're gonna do here is just basically pick up on it, be careful, it's plastic, and start moving along. And as you go forward, there's gonna be little resistance. We're gonna put some pressure on it. Use 2 hands here, so I'm actually gonna set down the camera to do it, and it'll kind of give a little pop and it'll come free, and you can do it without damaging your kick rails. Gil's gone ahead and removed the piece of plastic from his side right here. We've got this side 3/4 of the way done, but these are push tight on their plastic fitment here. I'm just gonna want to basically pull them forward and out. In order to get them out, they are a little tight and they are plastic and snug. The next thing that we're going to do here is remove this little plug right here. It just kind of slides out. And then we're going to pull this trim surround out, and that will let us get our seat belt out of the trim panel here, so we can remove that seat belt completely from the car.
So these are the little clips that appear to fit onto here like that, and so that's all you're removing. It just has to kind of bend a little bit for it to be able to pull out. So it looks like you pull it out that way. We actually had a little bit better luck going out and forward, pulling these out.
So the next thing for us here is going to be to remove the seat belt reel here. We've got bolt up top, one down low, and that will get our seat belts completely out of the way so we can go ahead and mount our roll bar. Alright, so with everything out now, the next step we need to do is remove the carpet out of this deck. And it's raining outside, so forgive our poor lighting, but Gil's over here pulling these little plugs, the same ones we had earlier, out of what surrounds this. And I know it's hard to see in here because we got the top up and it's dark, but these are all the ones that surround underneath the top. Be careful if you decide to use a screwdriver on these, not to slip and put a screwdriver through your top, because that would be no good. Alright, so another addition to getting your rear deck carpet out. There are 2 screws holding in the carpet, and I know it's dark, but they are in these back corners over here. And it's just a Phillips screwdriver to get them out. So we're going to get that, and then we'll finally have this carpet deck out here. Alright, so the next step here, Gil's going ahead and taking them off. But we've got a bunch of these, and they are 10 millimeters, just like I said they were. They roll all the way around this piece of metal back here in the back that we're going to have to get out in order to get to where the roll bar is actually going to mount. So we've got the roll cage in the car. We're beginning to test fit. Some problems, and we knew this kind of going in. So the first one is this white box. It actually gets mounted right there on the side. It is in our way, so we went ahead and removed that. Over here on this side, these wires right here run underneath the vehicle. They are in our way as well. So Gil's removing the inner fender liners so we can move those. Then we'll try another test fit, kind of see how everything is before we get this the rest of the way in. I'm not sure how I feel about that sticker. In test fitting the bar, we've run into some issues back here. Gil, talk to us a little bit about the issues on this side.
So this bar is not going to go past this metal, so what we've got to do is cut it back straight to about here and then come across, and that's going to leave us enough room to get that bar back into position, and we'll just have to clean this up a bit afterwards. We really don't have to clearance all the way across because the bar stops about right there, but we're just going to have to come out and make a little room.
We also had to remove several of the clips over here, free those wires up so we can move around them. We had to do the same thing on this side. This big one, by the way, this green piece just pulls right out and comes undone. That way we can get through it. And as you're putting in the bar, it actually helps to go under this right here so you can fit the bar back there. And we're going to keep fitting and trying this. This is something you can take your time on, and we'll go from there. Alright, after several times of test fitting, a lot of moving wires around, and a little bit of cutting back here in the back, we have got it in place. The next step that we need to do is drill the holes and get everything mounted up. So Gil's gonna get started on that, and we'll check back in with you guys in just a little bit. Alright, Gil, tell us what we're doing.
Alright, so we've marked our holes for the roll bar. Now we've got a step drill bit. Measured out how wide we needed the holes and just put some tape around it so I know when I'm stopped. And we're punching through some metal. Quite simple. Put the paint. Grab the key just to stay up and down. Make sure that your wires are.
My wires are off over here.
Before you start drilling, I gotta get a tab out.
Alright, I got problems over here. You said it needs to come towards the front a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, last time we had all those wires underneath the tab. What do you need me to do?
Like everything's on the inside now. Need that pair of pliers so I can get rid of this tab right here, same one you had to pull.
Come up at the top.
Alright.
Need to raise the back side up. These wires out of there. Really fucking hard to do.
Perfect. You see the light? That doesn't mean they're exactly perfect.
Right. They're good enough to, we have to redrill it.
Yep.
Alright, let's grab some bolts, washers, push them through.
So before you put the cage finally in place, if you're going to be reusing the factory seat belts, and this will be a street car that will have both race belts and factory belts in it, 4-point, 5-point race harnesses are a pain to use all the time. We need to go ahead and put our factory seat belts back in. So Gil's putting the top bolt in back into this unit. Now the bottom bolt you need to leave out, because as we look at this side, we'll see the roll cage is actually going to go through there and into here with that bottom bolt. But you just want to be sure that you don't bolt this cage back up in place before you put your seat belts back in if you're going to reuse the factory belts. If you're not going to reuse the factory belts, it's not a big deal. And we almost tightened this cage in without doing this, which would have been a big mistake. The next step in this process is to tighten the bolts. Now you're going to put a bolt and a washer through on this side. On the back side, I'll show you that in just a second.
On the back side, you've got these plates here that are going to retain it and add rigidity, and then you got to tighten these from the back side and have someone hold the front.
And you're going to do that for both sides here, as well as the back ones back there in the back. Alright, so we've gotten all the holes drilled, and we actually have the cage installed at this point in time, but we're going to go back and talk about kind of how we did it. So we've got all of the holes drilled for both sides and the lower ones. Push the bolts through, get them kind of in place and loose. Now, before you go too much further, the driver's side seat belt has a wire connection for it. Go ahead and be sure you've got that plugged in. And leave your cage nice and loose, because you're going to have to put in these bolts right here and all 6 of these per side for the cage. So go ahead and get those all kind of loose and in place before you tighten them down. And then go ahead and be sure you get them nice and tight at that point in time. Also, when you're putting your seatbelt in, be sure you don't get it kinked. And this was the original seatbelt mounting hole that's now going to go here. And then the kit comes with a supplied bolt and nut that you're going to use on the seatbelt here to kind of hold it in place. And then you need to put in the 2 bolts on either side where the seatbelt mounts into the carpet right there. Once again, I apologize for the horrible lighting, but it has been quite a rainy day today.
So we got the roll cage in. It fit nicely. We trimmed a few things up to make it look like a semi-professional job, or at least semi-amateur. And it really did look good in the car. And it stiffened up that chassis far more than I thought it would. It really made a big difference when you're going around some tight turns. You can feel just how well sorted that car is. I attribute a lot of that to the roll bar, because I did get to drive it with our other modifications prior to the roll bar and then after putting the roll bar in. However, I only got to drive it for 2 days before a lady pulled out in front of me and totaled the car. So we are waiting to buy that back from insurance so we can have some more fun with it. But if you are looking for, you know, a roll bar to take that car racing, the Hard Dog Ace is a great bar. It installed fairly easily. It took us a few attempts to figure out where to drill holes, but other than that, bar went in great and did its job well. That's all we got for you today on Tack and Track. We'll see you next time.